She mocked my dead-end jobs while spending my rent money. Here's how my revenge made her regret it all. At dinner, my sister Maddie raised her wine glass, the crimson liquid highlighting her sweet smile, yet her words cut like poison shards of ice. Sis, if you worked a little harder and stopped clinging to those dead-end jobs, you wouldn't be so, well, stuck in life forever. No warning, no hesitation. The words pierced my heart like a knife. Across the table, my parents didn't stop her. Instead, they let out soft chuckles, their silent approval stinging like salt on an open wound, sending chills down my spine. I stared at my hands, knuckles swollen and misshapen, crisscrossed with deep, unhealed cracks, fingernails caked with unwashed grease and cement dust. These were the scars of 3 jobs, the marks of a life spent working myself to the bone. In that moment, I woke up. I'd been pulling 16-hour days, juggling 3 jobs to scrape together money, only to support someone who mocked my blood, sweat, and tears. That night, I didn't scream or cry. I went back to my apartment, grabbed the stack of Maddie's bills on the kitchen counter, rent notices, luxury installment plans, travel receipts, and tore them to shreds. As the paper flakes drifted to the floor, the suffocating weight I'd carried for years lifted. For the first time, I tasted freedom. Before I go on, let me ask you, have you ever drained yourself dry for the sake of family, only to be taken for granted? When your kindness is trampled on, do you keep compromising, or do you find the courage to stop? People say family means unconditional love, but in mine, love always came with a price tag. And I was the one stuck paying it. I was 23 when I took on the burden of supporting Maddie. 3 jobs, 7 days a week, 5 a.m. to noon. I worked as a construction laborer, hauling bricks and mixing cement, my body coated in dust. A quick bite for lunch, then 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. as an auto repair apprentice, bending over engines until my back ached, my overalls soaked in motor oil. From 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., I sold street food at the night market, the smoke searing my throat raw. Most days, I slept just for hours, leaving before dawn and returning long after the city had fallen asleep. My clothes always reeked of cement, oil, and smoke, my hands were never clean, the cracks scabbing over only to be torn open again. When the pain became unbearable, I'd slather on cheap hand cream, and grit my teeth. I told myself it was temporary. Once Maddie graduated college, it would all be worth it. Every extra brick I hauled, every car I fixed, every snack I sold brought her closer to the good life our parents dreamed of. Maddie was the family's golden child, the accomplished one in my parents' eyes. When she got into college, our family celebrated like she'd solved world hunger. That night, my mom cried on the phone, "Helen, your sister has made us so proud. You must take good care of her, pay for her tuition, give her a good life. It's your duty as her older sister." It was never a question, it was an order. At first, I was thrilled to have a purpose. I paid her first semester's tuition, housing, textbooks, and even sent extra money for living expenses so she wouldn't struggle. She texted me, "Sis, you're the best. When I make money someday, I'll repay you for everything." I read that message over and over, clinging to it like a lifeline on those endless workdays. But gratitude faded once entitlement took root. Soon, she stopped saying thank you. She didn't even ask if I could afford it. Instead, she'd send bill screenshots and Venmo requests with the tone of a demand. "Sis, rent's due, send 5,000. Textbooks are too expensive, send 800. All my classmates have new phones, I need one too, send $12,000. Car insurance is expiring, handle it." My bank account was always overdrawn. I survived on steamed buns and pickles, wearing clothes patched so many times they barely held together, while Maddie's demands only grew. I tried to talk to her, but my mom would guilt-trip me. "Maddie's still young and naive. Cut her some slack. Her success is our family's pride." So I'd open my banking app and transfer the money, lying to myself that she'd pay me back someday. Deep down, I knew it was a lie. I skimped on doctor's visits to keep Maddie in designer bags and fancy dinners. But on social media, she flaunted her lavish life, candlelit dinners at rooftop restaurants, limited edition purses, impromptu trips abroad, the latest gadgets. Her captions read, "Hard work pays off," or "Girls should be spoiled." The first time I saw "Hard work pays off," I was sitting in the corner of the auto shop, eating a cold steamed bun. I burst out laughing until tears streamed down my face, my throat burning like fire. I showed the post to my boss, who shook his head, wiping oil off his hands. "Helen, what are you getting out of this? You're breaking your back to support her, and she's passing off your sweat as her own hard work. She doesn't appreciate you." I shook my head, stubbornly defending her. "She's my sister. If I don't help her, who will?" He stared at me for a long time before saying softly, "That's exactly why you shouldn't coddle her. This isn't helping, this is ruining her." That midnight, I dragged myself home from the night market, too exhausted to shower. I opened a package from Maddie, a new rent notice, $8,000 highlighted in red, more than my monthly salary from all 3 jobs combined. My stomach churned as I thought about how many bricks I'd hauled, how many cars I'd fixed, how many snacks I'd sold to scrape together that money. I told myself this was the last time that I'd set boundaries. But the next day, Maddie texted, "Sis, pay the rent or I'll get evicted. Hurry up, stop dragging your feet." Once again, I caved, borrowing money from friends to send her the cash. Wasn't that what a good sister did? Defend family until you collapsed. But somewhere inside me, something was breaking. Every compromise left me more drained, every transfer left me more bitter. A storm was brewing, quiet but unshakable. And storms always break eventually. It started with small, cutting moments that chipped away at me. One afternoon, I was hauling bricks under the scorching sun, sweat blurring my vision, when Maddie called. Her voice was sweet but urgent, non-negotiable. "Sis, my landlord raised the rent again. $8,000 last week, how can it go up already?" I panted. She sighed impatiently, like I was being unreasonable. "What do you want me to do? Argue with him? Either send the money, or I'll be homeless. I promise I'll repay you." Her promises were always empty. The emergencies never stopped, they just changed names. "Sis, I need $3,000 for a hobby class." "Sis, $2,000 for a friend's birthday gift." "Sis, I'm $5,000 short for a designer bag." "Sis, car insurance is due." I wanted to believe she was struggling, but every lie was wrapped in designer clothes and arrogant entitlement. Every Instagram post felt like a slap in the face: toasting under the Eiffel Tower, shopping on Fifth Avenue, sunbathing in Hawaii. Captions like "Attract abundance" or "Live in the moment." I'd stare at photos of her gourmet meals and think of my steamed buns, look at her designer shoes and think of my worn-out canvas sneakers, scroll through her travel albums and realize I'd barely left my hometown. My heart ached, but I never confronted her. I'd been raised to keep the peace, to put family first even if it meant destroying myself. But that suffocating peace was slowly killing me. My auto shop boss was the first to notice. "Helen, you're losing weight. You look exhausted, like you're about to collapse." During lunch, he handed me a bottle of water, his eyes filled with sympathy. "Still sending money to your sister?" I didn't answer, no need to. He shrugged, sighing, "Some people only love you when you're useful. Once you've got nothing left to give, they'll cast you aside." Those words lingered in my mind for days. One Sunday, my rare day off, I called my parents to tell them how tired I was. My mom answered, her voice cheerful as always, "Helen, did you send Maddie the money? She said you've been acting cold lately, taking too long to transfer it." "Cold?" I repeated, my voice trembling. "I've been working myself to death to support her, rent, food, bags, car insurance. Everything is on me. And she thinks I'm being cold." My mom's tone turned sharp. "How dare you talk like that? Maddie's still in school, she's under so much pressure. As her sister, you should be proud to support her. She needs you, you should help her unconditionally." Guilt washed over me. Even after giving everything, I still craved my parents' approval. But when Maddie called to say she was going to Paris for a year-long exchange program, my last line of defense crumbled. Sis, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Tuition and living expenses are around $200,000, you'll take care of it, right? She said it as casually as if she were asking about the weather. I froze, my throat tightening. Maddie, I can't. I work 3 jobs, I barely make enough to survive. I can't come up with $200,000. Oh, don't be like that, she said dismissively. Just find a way, get another job. You don't have any expenses, you don't date, you don't travel. What do you even do with your money? You're so capable, I know you can figure it out. You don't even travel, those words stabbed me like an ice pick. She had no idea I didn't travel because I couldn't, that my dreams had been swallowed whole by the phrase support Maddie. I hung up the phone and stared at my hands, calloused, greasy, stained with cement. These hands had built her a life of luxury, only for her to mock my own. I didn't know it then, but that conversation was the beginning of the end. I didn't want to go to the family dinner, but my mom begged me, crying, Helen, do it for me. Maddie came home specially, we haven't been together as a family in so long. Guilt won out, as it always did. When I walked into my parents' house, the smell of home cooking mixed with Maddie's expensive perfume, a stark contrast to the dust and oil on my clothes. She hugged me superficially, her arm barely touching my back, her eyes filled with disgust, like touching me would dirty her designer dress. Dinner started quietly. My dad asked about my work in a perfunctory way, my mom fussed over Maddie, piling food on her plate, ignoring me entirely. I ate in silence, my heart heavy. Then Maddie put down her fork, picked up her phone, and showed my parents photos of her travels, her voice brimming with pride, Mom, Dad, look, this is me in Italy. Next stop is Paris, I already booked the ticket. She spoke like she was announcing a coronation. My mom clapped eagerly, our little traveler. Helen, look how successful your sister is. You must keep supporting her, don't let her suffer abroad. It sounded like an order, not a request. I couldn't take it any more. I took a deep breath and said, Mom, Maddie's an adult. She can get a part-time job. I can't keep giving her money. I'm so tired. That's when Maddie looked up at me, a cruel smile playing on her lips. Sis, if you worked a little harder and stopped clinging to those dead-end jobs, you wouldn't be so, well, stuck in life forever. You can't even help me chase my dreams. The table went silent. Forks froze mid-air. My dad shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my eyes, my mom stared at her plate, her silence an act of complicity. In that moment, I saw them clearly. They didn't care about my exhaustion, my pain, only about Maddie's happiness. My sacrifices meant nothing to them, not even a thank you. I forced a smile, my voice hoarse but firm, you're right, Maddie. I am stuck but not for much longer. I finished my wine, stood up and folded my napkin neatly on the table. Dinner's on me, my last treat for you. From now on, you're responsible for your own life. My mom's face turned white. Helen, what are you saying? She's your sister. Maddie frowned, confused and angry, what do you mean? You're abandoning me? How can you be so selfish? I didn't explain. I walked out of that suffocating house. On the drive home, I cried, not from sadness, but from relief. Years of resentment, exhaustion, and self-sacrifice had finally come to an end. From that day on, I would live for myself. Back in my apartment, I let the emotions flood over me. I grabbed Maddie's unopened bills, rent notices, luxury installments, travel receipts, and tore them to pieces. The sound was sharp, final, liberating. For the first time in years, I felt no guilt, only a profound sense of enough. 3 days later, my phone rang while I was hauling bricks. It was Maddie. I let it ring until it went to voicemail. Then the text started, first polite, then panicked, then abusive. Sis, are you mad? Rent's due, send the money. What's your problem? Ignoring me on purpose. Hurry up or I'll get evicted. Helen, you're the worst. By the end of the day, I had 12 missed calls and dozens of ugly texts. That night, I answered her call, not because I was soft, but because I wanted to hear the truth. Helen. Why aren't you paying my rent? Have you lost your mind? Her voice was shrill with anger. Because it's not my rent, I said calmly. Maddie, I'm not giving you another penny. From now on, you're on your own. What? She screamed, disbelieving. How can you be so selfish? So heartless. We're sisters. If I get evicted, it's your fault. Then you'd better learn to pack your bags and get a job, I said coldly. I've given you more than enough over the years. I don't owe you anything. You're cruel. She sobbed, trying to guilt-trip me. What am I going to do without you? You're an adult. You have hands and feet, you can earn your own money, I said. If you can afford designer bags and trips, you can pay your own rent. You're just used to taking, not giving. You'll regret this. She screamed and hung up. I didn't regret it. That night, I slept better than I had in years, peaceful, unburdened. The next morning, my mom called, her voice icy. Helen, how could you do this to Maddie? She's your sister. You're heartless, selfish. Heartless. Selfish. I laughed, the sound bitter. Mom, don't you know how much I've sacrificed for Maddie? I worked 3 jobs, hauled bricks, fixed cars, sold street food until I collapsed. I lived on bread and water so she could live in luxury. And she mocked me for it. You never asked if I was tired, never cared if I was okay, you only cared about Maddie. Now that I'm done giving, I'm the bad guy. That's not family. Family is about helping each other. My mom argued. Mutual help goes both ways, I said. It's not slavery. It's not me sacrificing everything for nothing. I hung up the phone, blocking their numbers. I knew there was no going back, and I didn't care. That week, Maddie lost her mind. She called from different numbers which I blocked one by one. Then she showed up at my night market stall at midnight. I was packing up when she ran over, knocking over my food cart. The oil drum spilled, scalding my ankle. I gritted my teeth in pain. Helen. You cold-hearted witch. How dare you abandon me? She screamed, her hair messy, her makeup smudged, looking like a madwoman. If you don't give me money, I'll come here every night and ruin your business. I'll make sure you lose your job. A crowd gathered, whispering and staring. I fought through the pain and looked at her coldly. Maddie, I gave you chances. You chose to throw them away. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. She didn't expect me to stand up to her. She froze for a moment, then dropped to the ground, wailing, Someone help. This woman is abandoning her own sister. I'm going to be homeless and she doesn't care. Just then, my auto shop boss arrived to pick me up from work. Seeing the chaos, he immediately stepped in front of me, glaring at Maddie. How dare you make a scene here? Your sister worked 3 jobs to support you, she slaved away so you could live in luxury, and this is how you repay her. Do you have no shame? He told the crowd everything, how I'd sacrificed my life to fund Maddie's indulgences, how she'd mocked my hard work while spending my money. The onlookers' expressions changed from curiosity to disgust. They started whispering, pointing at Maddie. Her face turned red, then white. Humiliated, she shouted insults and stormed off. My boss drove me to the hospital to treat my burned ankle. Looking at the blisters, he sighed, You're too kind. You should have stood up to her long ago. I smiled, feeling nothing but relief, not anger, not hatred. Just freedom. In the days that followed, I finally stopped worrying about Maddie's bills. I quit the construction job and the night market stall, keeping only the auto repair apprenticeship. For the first time in years, I worked normal hours with time to myself. I started taking care of myself, buying new clothes, going for walks in the park on weekends, meeting friends for dinner. I even signed up for an advanced auto repair course to improve my skills. A few months later, I got a call from Aunt Teresa. She told me Maddie had been evicted and moved back in with our parents. But she hadn't changed, she still refused to work, throwing tantrums at my parents for not supporting her lavish lifestyle. Then she'd stolen their IDs and maxed out several credit cards, spending the money on designer bags, makeup, and nights out at bars. Now the banks were hounding them, their pensions frozen, their credit ruined. Their lives were a mess. "Helen, your parents are so regretful," Aunt Teresa said, her voice hesitant. "They want me to ask if you can forgive them, and help them out." I was silent for a long time. Finally, I said, "Aunt Teresa, I don't hate them anymore. But I won't help. They made their choices, they have to live with the consequences. I've given enough to this family. Now I just want to live my own life." Hanging up, I looked out the window at the sunshine, my heart calm as still water. I felt no joy in their misfortune, only closure. A year later, my hard work paid off. With my expert auto repair skills, I was promoted to technical supervisor at the shop, my salary doubling. I used my savings to buy a small apartment, cozy, clean, and entirely my own. I decorated it with plants, filling the balcony with flowers. Every night when I came home, looking at those green leaves and bright blooms, my heart was full of happiness. Even better, I met someone who cherished me. Luca was a customer at the shop, drawn to my dedication and hard work. He didn't mind the calluses on my hands or the scars from years of labor, he said they were badges of my resilience. He'd bring me a warm cup of milk tea after work, take me traveling on weekends, listen patiently to my story, and tell me my sacrifices were never a matter of course, that my kindness was worth treasuring. 2 years later, Luca proposed. At our wedding, Aunt Teresa gave me a big hug. "Helen, I'm so happy for you. You deserve all this happiness." I cried tears of joy, filled with gratitude. Today, Luca and I live a simple, happy life. I'm no longer the tool who sacrificed everything for family, I'm a woman loved and cherished. My hands still have calluses, but now they work for myself and the people I love. Every effort is rewarded, every hard day meaningful. Looking back, I'm grateful I found the courage to stop. Once, I thought family meant unconditional sacrifice, that my worth depended on how much I gave. But I've learned the truth, real family isn't one-sided taking or emotional blackmail. It's mutual respect, mutual support. Sacrifice isn't love, setting boundaries is the greatest act of self-respect, and the best way to protect true family bonds. We're often trapped by the word family, told we must forgive everything, give endlessly. But real family doesn't make you suffer in silence, doesn't take your kindness for granted. If your love is trampled, your patience mistaken for weakness, stand up. Set boundaries. Learn to say no. You are worthy of being cherished. You deserve happiness, not through sacrificing yourself, but through loving yourself. When you learn to live for yourself, you'll discover happiness is simple. That you too can be your own light. If you've ever been trapped in emotional blackmail, if you've drained yourself for family, remember this, your kindness is precious. Save it for those who deserve it. Your efforts are valuable. Don't let ungrateful people drain you. Dare to live for yourself, and you will find your own happiness.